So we're here at the debris management site. This is off of Powder Forest Road. It's an 11-acre site, which is basically just a large flat grassland before we showed up. This is where every truck in town has got to come through. As the trucks come in, they have to pass by our monitoring station. At the monitoring station, our monitor looks to see the capacity of the truck, which is indicated on the side, and then they give it a rating of how full it is. 75% full, 80% full, 95% full, and what they're doing is they're looking for voids in the pile of brush, because they're only paid by the volume, and they're only paid by the volume that they actually bring in. If there's a lot of voids in the truck, they're going to get a reduced payment based upon that airspace in there. After the brush comes in on the trucks, it's unloaded, which is what's making these large piles here. And as the trucks leave, we actually go through a second step to make sure we're getting what we pay for, and the monitor has to observe that the truck is actually leaving empty before it comes back for its next round. The debris here that we're looking at today is about 130,000 cubic yards of brush and debris. We now have a tub grinder on site, which is turning all of this brush into mulch, and the mulch is going to be brought off site probably starting tomorrow. This is right now, based on our best estimates, about half of the brush in Simsbury. The rest is still to be picked up over the next 10 days. We're here with Chuck Owens. Chuck is the project manager for CERES Environmental. They're the contractor that the town has hired to remove all of this brush and debris. Chuck can maybe explain a little bit about what's involved, because it goes farther than just picking up the debris on the side of the road. It also includes work in the trees and eventually grinding and removing all of this. So Chuck, I don't know if you want to just explain a little bit about what you've been hired to do?
Yeah, well, our number one thing we concentrate on most is safety. Safety of the town citizens, safety of our employees, and we concentrate on that. That's our number one thing we keep in mind. But we pick that debris up that the citizens have brought out to the road, we load it, we bring it here to the site where we mulch it, but you see that. We then load it up and take it out to an approved site. We employ about 30 or 35 local citizens here from this area, and we expect this to be completed in a little less than 35 days.
Chuck, maybe you can explain a little bit about CERES Environmental is a large disaster management contractor, but you also have a number of subcontractors, some local subcontractors, and then you also had to supplement your labor force with local employees. Could you talk a little bit about the number of crews you have and from where they're coming from in terms of all over the nation, really?
Sure. We like to use all the local people we can, Tom, because we like, of course, to keep the money in the local economy. We like the local knowledge of the town because we always need things from the local, and the more local knowledge you have. For instance, just last week we had a truck break down, and one of our local employees told us that, oh, I know a guy can fix that, and without us having to take a half a day to find somebody to work on it, one of your local townspeople called somebody, and within 15 minutes we had that truck being worked on. Yep. So that's the reason that we like to use local people and to keep that money local. We have, in our employ, we have probably 70 or 75 people making up 25 truck crews. And we have a temp service using local people, local laborers, flaggers, of about 15 to 25 of that crew. We have people from all over the United States: Arkansas, Texas, Montana, Florida, Mississippi. Yep.
You smile when you say Mississippi.
That's my hometown, Columbia, Mississippi.
Okay. And now these trucks, these are specialized trucks. Can you explain a little bit about the difference between the truck like we have behind us and what we would typically see up here used on a construction site?
Right. These trucks are specifically disaster-related trucks. They are self-loaders. They hardly have any use whatsoever other than disaster. And these guys are from Kansas City Tree. They follow disasters. They've been working in Massachusetts, Connecticut. They have worked for us before down in Texas, in New Orleans, on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They are one of our they have an annual contract with us, and when we need them, we call them and they come show up.
So basically, that may be part of the reason why local contractors had a tough time bidding head-to-head against somebody with a national company with this type of experience. You have specialized equipment and you have resources from across the country that are not available to everybody.
Absolutely. We can mobilize, with phone calls, we can have people mobilize basically that day or the next day, ready to go to work.
Yeah, and from my end, once the bid came in, the next day we had, I think, the first 4 or 6 trucks, and the day after that we had another 10 trucks. So we were up to speed within a matter of days, and now we're running, I think, 26 trucks this week.
Right, and we'll be moving, by Wednesday we'll be moving 15,000 yards a day, cubic yards of debris a day off the streets of the town of Simsbury.
And right now, what I was saying is right now we're running at about 125,000 cubic yards here on site, which was what we had originally estimated would be the entire volume for the town. We're actually finding we're getting a larger volume, and currently we're projecting that number to be about 255,000 cubic yards. So it's a substantial contract at this point. A little over $3 million is what we're currently looking at, if my numbers are right.
Okay.
Maybe in terms of the contracts you've done, this is relatively small for what you guys can handle, CERES.
Well, I can't say a $3 million contract is a small contract. No,
Yeah.
It's not. It is in terms of disasters like Katrina and Hurricane Ike and things like this. I don't want to say it's small for the people of Simsbury by no stretch of the imagination.
That's good, because for me, this is a big deal.
It is. It is a big deal.
And these guys are actually working 7 days a week, dusk till dawn, and putting in a good effort to get this all picked up.
We are glad to help the citizens of the town of Simsbury.
After the recovery phase, we as emergency managers and the rest of the emergency response team and support staff are sitting down to come up with an after-action report on how well everything worked out for us in the community, how well we were able to serve the community and the citizens that we protect, and also how well it worked as far as efficiencies are concerned. We'll sit down, go over the goods and the bad parts, and we'll make appropriate changes where we need to. That's all part of the planning process and all part of the emergency response process that we have to go through each time we have an incident of this size or a training incident. So that's what we do on the next phase is to prepare for the next emergency. Hopefully we'll never have one.
Well, as we all know, the October storm really created a historic disaster for Simsbury. And our first priority was the public health and safety of our residents. And I'm so proud of the response of our emergency responders, our highway crews, our town staff, for making sure that our residents stayed healthy and were protected. And we were able to serve about 8,000 people through our shelter and serve about 5,000 meals. And as you can tell now, we've shifted into the debris management portion of the disaster. We're trying to get the roads picked up. It was a decision the town made to commit resources, as you can tell, picking up along the public rights of way and the public streets. And then we will shift into the evaluation portion of the disaster. We have a survey online at www.simsbury-ct.gov. Tell us how we could do a better job for the next disaster and what you liked about what we did so far. We will also then be monitoring the costs associated with the disaster and trying to figure out, again, what is FEMA reimbursable. So I just want to thank Tom and highway guys who've worked around the clock, as all of our emergency responders and town staff have done, to really make sure that we have the disaster under control. But as you can tell, I think it's going to be a long time before Simsbury looks back to normal or feels back to normal. Folks are still dealing with their own roads and town property, their own property. The town is also now shifting into our own town property and evaluating open space and trying to clean up a lot of our areas. So, Tom, maybe you can update where we are at this point in the cleanup.
Well, right now we are about midway through the brush collection from the rights-of-way along the side of town-maintained roadways. We're at about 125,000 cubic yards of brush. We are projecting that the total volume is going to be about 250 to 260,000 cubic yards of brush, which it's really hard to even put into perspective. I know we had some aerial shots of the debris management site behind us earlier. It gives you some level of understanding of how big of a problem this is. We are also going around, we have 10 tree crews working this week to get all of the hangers, the broken branches and limbs from town roadways. Anything hanging above the roadway which poses a significant risk is going to be removed. All of this work is scheduled to be done before Christmas. The debris pickup is scheduled to be completed within 2 weeks from today. We have 26 trucks, massive trucks that are working to get all of this done as fast as we possibly can. One of our big concerns is we need to be finished with the brush collection before we have another winter snow event. If we had to plow the roads with some of the brush piles, it would be difficult, if not impossible. The brush piles also represent a significant hazard in terms of the pointy sticks that are sticking out as people walk or run by. There's sightline issues at intersections, so we ask that people be very careful on where they place their brush. And of course, we were talking before about the broken trees and the tree limbs above the roadways. We are working diligently to get that as fast as we can. It does represent a hazard, and we're trying to deal with it as fast as we can. The final phase to this entire project is actually going to be when we put in our application for a FEMA grant to reimburse us for these costs. We are anticipating a 75% reimbursement for all of our debris management and collection. If you can imagine that we're looking at $3 to $3.5 million, that 75% is very important to the town. It's part of the reason we hired True North. It's an oversight and monitoring company that's helping to make sure every step we take is the right step, so we don't do anything to jeopardize our FEMA reimbursement for this project. So.
Just want to thank all the elected boards and commissions, certainly the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, for giving the town the resources to do the debris management. Some towns did not pick up debris, and certainly we knew very quickly that the town needed to step in and pick up as much as we could. It's been a frustrating process for us as well. As Tom said, there are very stringent FEMA guidelines. We cannot get reimbursed for private roads and condominiums, and I know that poses a hardship for a lot of folks, but those funds are not reimbursable. We also, because of the quickness of the pickup, we couldn't get a published list of when streets would be picked up, and I know that is also a challenge. We also have to be very quick in our cleanup, so as you can see, the trucks needed to get on the road and pick up from dawn to dusk, and rather than publish a list that was not accurate, they just couldn't provide us a list. So it's certainly been a challenge, but we are working as hard as we can to manage the debris, to get the town back to normal, more importantly, to keep our residents safe. So we just want to thank the elected officials, the town staff, the emergency responders, and all of the volunteers who have really pitched in at a time of need to make this community strong. So thank you all.